Hi, this is Dr. Tom Rogers coming to you with a weekly podcast of the Common Sense MD. I have a special guest that here today that I've been working with for a few years. His name is Michael Loomis, and he's an expert in vitamins. Actually, I met Michael. Welcome, Michael. Thank you for coming on here today. This is on a StreamYard. You now live in Nashville. You moved there from Oregon, I believe. And
Yeah.
we've met in person a couple times at some of our meetings nationwide. And that first meeting I had with you really fascinated me because I'm into vitamins. I do a deep dive on different kind of vitamins. And, I always thought in the back of my mind I'd like to kind of formulate my own vitamins. And then I met you from Freedom to Formulate. And I forget if we met in Nashville down in Orlando, but in any event, at the time you lived in Portland, Oregon, or a town right outside it, and you started talking about your company, and I was so impressed about what you were able to do. And it set me on a journey to formulate my own vitamins, really because I was taking a lot of vitamins myself. I mean, somewhere in the 40s. So I figured you can combine vitamins and take less pills and maybe be a little bit more economical as well. But, your vitamins that you make are so much better quality than anybody I've found. I mean, I found that even some of the other vitamin companies that I'd worked with started putting some fillers in there, like maltodextrin and cornstarch and a few other things. And I wanted something that was really didn't have any of those ingredients in there and still had or dated and processed and came from a source that was either United States or Europe, not India or China. I think you have to be really careful with your sourcing nowadays and the testing that is involved and all that. So we've developed a great relationship, and now we have 6 vitamins with you guys. I'm a baby boomer, so I kind of tailor my practice toward older folks like me. But and I'm going to talk to you in a minute about these different vitamins and what you do. But first, I want to mention something. This is really timely because last night I was watching the NBC Evening News. And Lester Holt gets on there, and there's a new study out of Harvard that shows that it's a 2-year study that showed that if you're an adult taking a multivitamin, you warded off dementia and mental decline by 2 years. And this was just, a multivitamin. And if multis are so different, most of them don't have enough of the ingredients in them, so I'm not sure which one they used. But so they did this study, and this was a placebo-controlled study out of Harvard. And at the end, they say, well, this is going to at least add 2 years of better quality life for your brain. And so they went through this. They went up to Harvard and interviewed them and all. And it's a very positive study. So at the very end, Lester's talking to his reporter, and Lester goes, well, so are you telling me that we should go out and Americans should go out and take a multivitamin? And she goes, no, I'm not saying that. There needs to be more studies. And I thought, that just sums up the whole way they treat medicine. I mean, they need more studies before they can tell you that. We may not have enough time for that. We need to go ahead and do this stuff that we've been doing for years anyway. If you wait for it to be approved by the AMA or FDA or whatever, you're going to be waiting your whole life because they're not going to study it much more. There's no money in it. These are over-the-counter vitamins. But I do think you have to be very careful with where you get them. Most vitamins are safe. I mean, how many vitamin overdoses have you ever heard about? I mean, it's rare as hen's teeth. It just doesn't happen. How many prescription medicine overdoses are there every day? Thousands and thousands. So if they're worried about you taking a vitamin and having a problem, they're wrong. But in any event, I want you to go listen to that. I don't think you've listened to it yet, and I'm going to put it on LinkedIn and Facebook. But I thought it was just very interesting. But I was very encouraged by that study that says it definitely helps you because In the past, traditional medicine has kind of trashed almost any vitamin, whether it be an aspirin or vitamin D. How could you trash those? I mean, there's so many positive benefits to those things. It's unbelievable. And now with the study on the good multivitamin that's positive. So I was pumped up about it. But in any event, tell me a little bit about how you got into this, Michael.
How I personally got into the industry.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I grew up. My mom had a lot of health problems. She's been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Had some mental health things that happened, and it led to a pretty tough upbringing. Led to some tough times for our family, and then she eventually got help with a naturopathic doctor. And so I saw kind of the holes in traditional medicine and trying to treat people with complex conditions, but also optimizing health. You kind of look at our country and we're very unhealthy if you look at the metrics for such a wealthy country. And, so I was always passionate about it as a former athlete. I played basketball in college and was always interested on how do I optimize my body to perform best. And I was working at Xerox um, in a sales position, and it wasn't what I was passionate about. And I came across our company, kind of understanding, seeing my mom go through the process, seeing how supplements are used, seeing the industry, where the industry was going in terms of personalization and customization, and was blown away by what we were doing. I'd never seen it before, and I couldn't sleep. The night after I saw us, I woke up in the middle of the night and was just thinking about it. And I think I submitted my resume in the middle of the night because I was just excited about it, and was also impressed with the character of the leadership and management of the company. And so, I wanted to be involved with, and it's a joy to be involved with helping doctors, practitioners like yourself who are on the front lines, helping people with their health, changing lives. I was excited about, providing a service to people like yourself to change lives. And it's been a blessing.
That's a great story. I love to hear personal stories about how people get into their profession, because kind of like I was talking in an earlier podcast with an ER doc, and for him, it's medicine is a passion, it's a purpose, and it seems like when I talk with you, it's the same way. There's a story behind it, and you're almost on a mission to help people, and you're certainly doing it. Now, tell me about your company, Freedom to Formulate. How did they get started? I know they're located in near Portland, and tell me a little bit about how unique that company is.
It is very unique. So we have two manufacturing facilities in Sisters, Oregon, breaking ground on a third this year. And our two co-founders, Justin DeTuris and Pete Duenas, were top sales representatives for a competitive supplement company down in the Los Angeles area. And, they met with practitioners like yourself consistently, where they had all of these ideas. They wanted to be able to customize. They wanted to express their own clinical opinion on formulations, but their only ability to do so would be order thousands of bottles, have a large capital outlay, wait many months to get their product. So it wasn't feasible. So they started to see all these inquiries. And so they thought, why don't we serve that market, right? And also with our personalized nutrients, where we can create for the individual patient, right? You can customize specifically for them. They saw the trends in the industry going towards this personalized route. And so, just with that in mind, they started around 12 years ago now. They started personalized nutrients and compounded nutrients. And the tagline says is all the freedom to formulate. Like, how can we give practitioners the ability to express their own clinical opinion? They're the ones on the front line, seeing patients, seeing what works, having their own clinical data, and they have their opinions. And so they wanted to be able to offer that, while doing so with high quality, without large capital outlay, for them to just truly best serve their patients from what they're seeing, and give them the ability to have exclusive products from a business perspective as well, to allow that to flourish. So that was kind of the background of how they got into it, just to, again, give the ability to, and the freedom to formulate based upon what they're seeing, and to express their own clinical opinion on formulations.
I love that background. Now, tell me about your company. I was impressed because of the sourcing of your materials and the double and triple checking on it, the purity, what's not in it, the dating. Tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, it's unfortunate the supplement industry gets a bad reputation because there are companies that cut corners. They're all about maximizing profit. It's low quality ingredients. And so when it comes to the quality, just to begin with, the manufacturing facility is it's NSF certified and CGMP certified, right? And we always kind of joke and say that the most expensive supplement is the one that doesn't work, right? So if you have low quality sourcing, you have a lot of chemical fillers and excipients, it's probably not too bioavailable for the body to actually take that incoming data you're getting from the supplements and actually utilize it in the body to get a positive result. And so, our goal is to offer the cleanest and hopefully most clinically effective formulations. And so from a sourcing perspective, we try to source domestic or European when possible. It's the trademarked, well-studied, research-backed ingredients. It's only ingredients in companies that have warehouses in the United States. So there's a lot of times where we're looking into sourcing ingredients and we can't bring on an ingredient because it doesn't meet our strict internal standards of what we're willing to work with in terms of a supplier and the quality. And, one thing that we're proud of is, there's a lot of fillers that are added to supplementation, and that's typically due to just the manufacturing process. And it is difficult to do it without fillers. But, our goal is we don't have any chemical fillers or excipients, not even magnesium stearate or silicon dioxide. So the only thing that we ever use if we have to help fill a capsule based upon the active ingredient in the formulation is microcrystalline cellulose. It's the closest thing to nothing you can really get in terms of a filler. And that's what our vegetable capsule is made out of. And then powdered form, there's no filler whatsoever. It's just the active ingredient. And so, in terms of testing, right, it's a lot of times companies will batch test. So if they are testing, so if I'm getting an ingredient from supplier A a lot, I'm getting it consistently, maybe they batch test 20% of the time just to confirm the quality of it. We could do that. It probably would help save expenses in some places, but our goal is to offer the cleanest product to ensure that. And so we third-party test every lot we receive. So we put it into quarantine when we get it, send it off for third-party testing for potency, purity, and heavy metals. If we get, an acceptable and passable test result there, we then move it into the manufacturing process. And then we're actually testing again on the back end. So after the formulation is created again, even though we have these strict standards of NSF certification and CGMP certified, we're just making sure everything's okay with that formulation. So we third-party test again. We're testing against label claim to make sure from an internal standpoint, what was, chosen to be manufactured was actually manufactured. And so we're just ensuring, we're never going to send something out that doesn't meet those standards. So, it is important. Again, the most expensive supplement is the one that doesn't work. And so, we understand that people like yourself are working with patients that are trying to optimize their health, and that's very important, or those that are chronically sick, and this is legitimately their medicine, right? So how can we ensure the quality, make sure they're getting the best quality ingredients without anything added to hopefully drive the best clinical outcome within the protocols that you're choosing to apply?
I love the way you put that. The most expensive vitamin you'll take is the one that doesn't work. That's a great statement. So you guys definitely go above and beyond what any other company I've seen. That's why I chose you guys to work with. And so far, I'm always thinking about new things to put together, new combinations, as you know, because I call you all the time and say, hey, can we get some taurine in my energy formula, which we have. But first of all, my best seller, and these things are going to very soon be available for anybody through our website, and we're probably going to put it on some of the other sites that you can distribute it from, because I have patients all over the country that want to get it. So that'll be very, very soon. Maybe by the time people hear this, it'll be out. But my super vitamin, when I called you guys and told you what I want in my super vitamin, one of you guys told me that it was the most packed, loaded multivitamin that you'd ever made. And so I'm telling people it's the best multivitamin in the world. That's me
That's
saying this, but but I can't prove it. But when you look at what's in it, I mean, it's got all the great stuff in it, like 5,000 IU's of D3 with vitamin K2, MK7, 180 milligrams in the multi. It has, I don't know how many units of vitamin A, but the max that you need. Not too much. You could overdo that, but it's perfect amount. It's got the great vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams. It has the methyl B vitamins in it. Most vitamins, if you look at them, they may have B12 and uh, folic acid, but most people, as we know, have a mutation on that MTHFR gene or their COMT gene, and they really need methylated. It's way more bioavailable even if you don't have a mutation, and most of us do have at least one mutation. So you've got your methylated B complex, you've got your zinc, you've got your copper, you've got your manganese. There's a lot of other stuff in there too. You have lycopene. I'm trying to remember, but it's just loaded. You couldn't get that many ingredients and at the milligrams we put in it in one, you'd have a huge pill. So it's 3 smaller capsules, but I think that's the best vitamin that I have by far. I guess the second most common one that I sell is my stress relief vitamin. If you've been a doctor as long as I have, half of what walks into your office is anxiety, stress related. And I'd much rather prefer to put somebody on something natural that can even them out than put them on Xanax or Prozac or some of those things that really don't work. I mean, look at the studies on the SSRIs. But mine has L-theanine, ashwagandha, and saffron, which are 3 of my favorites. I just combine them all. And what I found is that if you combine them, the cost is way less to the patient than taking them separately. Sometimes, like my energy formula, which I love, has CoQ10, which makes your mitochondria pump out more ATP, but it also has PQQ to make your cell produce more mitochondria. And I added the thing that we talked about earlier is taurine. The only good thing you can get out of a Red Bull. All the new studies on taurine as far as longevity are just fantastic. And it's definitely an energy thing. So I love that. And my happy, healthy hair. The other thing, I deal with a baby boomer population, and all of us are getting a little bit thinning in our hair. And if you can take a vitamin that works, and this one works fantastic. I call it the happy, healthy hair. And it's got all the good stuff in it that block DHT down that you know about it. But it also has what I call Anugain New. I think you pronounce it a little bit differently than I do, but that's been just a fantastic. This stuff really works, and I'll have you talk about it in a little bit. I have my ultimate aging formula, which I love. It's got apigenin in it, and it has NR. It's just an amazing compound. I have the immune formula. Some people take it every day, and it's great. It's got the NAC, the quercetin. With my multi, knock on wood, I just don't seem to need it, except if I start feeling sick, then pop it. And of course, we used that a lot during the COVID years, and it's still around. So a lot of people really like my immune formula. But tell me about some of these things. Why are my vitamins? I know they're unique. Why do you think, and I've worked with you on a lot of these ingredients, and you've given me a lot of great advice. Why do you think these vitamins are so good? Take my happy, healthy hair. That you can get Nutrafol and all that, but this has a unique product that Anugain New. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, I think when you look at your happy, healthy hair, it has ingredients that are known to support hair health, right? You have those standard ingredients in there. You got the vitamin A's, you got inositol, you got biotin, zinc, horsetail silica, saw palmetto. But Anaganu is a very unique ingredient, and as we were talking about building this hair formulation, I thought this would be a good addition to it, and I think it's driving some pretty good clinical outcomes from what we're hearing. And so, it just comes from the common garden pea. It's so cool to see how many things in the natural world support our bodily systems for optimization. And so we have 100 milligrams in the formulation, which is what the clinical study used, and the clinical study results were based upon just 100 milligrams of this common pea extract. And it's pretty remarkable what the results show just using 100 milligrams of this ingredient. And that's all the other ingredients in the formulation aside. After 1 month, it showed a statistically significant hair loss reduction by 34% by itself at 100 milligram dosing, 37% after 2 months, and visibly improved hair density. And most volunteers that took it wanted to continue the application after the study. And so basically, you take these standard, ingredients that have been proven and are consistently used to support hair health in the body, but you add in this anagen new, which has some great research behind it, and the combination of those two is what is speaking to the results that you're seeing within the people taking it.
And we're seeing it. I mean, I think Andy, my son Andy, was the first one to take it, and I wish I could show a before and after of his hair. He has the thickest hair. It's amazing. He was starting to worry about his hair, even though he's young, and it's just an amazing difference. People like to run their hands through his hair. It's so thick. And so I started taking it. I definitely noticed a difference in my hair. There's no doubt at all. I love it. I like my energy formula. I take it every morning. I think it really helps me a lot. Tell me about, what do you think about my super multivitamin? Because you helped me develop that.
Yeah, I think it's a as you mentioned, it's a very effective multivitamin. I think a lot of times, in speaking to the most expensive supplements, the one that doesn't work is, a lot of times you're getting multivitamins that they have dosing of certain ingredients, but are they actually clinically effective? Are they high enough dosage to drive a certain clinical outcome? That's an issue. A lot of times they're dosed lower. A lot of times they have not great forms or bioavailable forms of vitamins. As you mentioned, the MTHFR, conversion, close to 50% of the population has that deficiency, right? They can't take folic acid and translate it and transfer it into a way the body can use. And so, in looking at it, you have 5,000 IU of D3. A lot of multis, if they have vitamin D3 in it, it's a very low dose. You're typically seeing 200 IU, maybe it gets up to 1,000 or 2,000, but you have 5,000 IU of D3, which is a very good dose to support vitamin D3 levels, especially as we live more inside. It's winter time. That's very effective dose. Plus you have the K2 at 180 micrograms, which a lot of times you'll see K2 dose lower, maybe 45, maybe 90, if it's even in the formulation, but you have it at 180 micrograms, which helps with the absorption, helps just support the vitamin D3. So just even starting with that, that's great. You have vitamin C at 1,000 milligrams.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. You have, vitamin C at 1,000 milligrams, which is a great dose. Vitamin A at 10,000 IU, which is a very great dose. A lot of times we have a hard time getting the adequate amount of vitamin A in our diet through food. And I think, speaking to your multivitamin, ideally you want to be eating a healthy, balanced diet. But when you look at the depletion of the soil, you look at a lot of the food quality, I think it's close to impossible to get sufficient amount of nutritional support through food. And so, I think in looking at this formulation, you have things dosed at the right amounts, the clinically effective amounts, a lot packed into, these 3 capsules, right? You have the methylated B vitamins at great dosages. A lot of times you might see those low. And so it meets the nutritional needs. It has adequate dosing for those ingredients, right? Maybe someone's more prone to want to take a 1 capsule dosing of a multivitamin, but you have to understand, to just get a lot into 1 capsule probably isn't going to do the actual job, right? And so I think you were very strategic, and let's get the most amount of ingredients at right dosages, but you did so in a way that you're not taking 7, 8 capsules, right? You're taking 3 capsules, which is doable, and you're meeting those baseline needs. And when you're meeting the baseline needs adequately, as you're saying, the body's functioning optimally. So, I think that's the great part about your multivitamin.
Thank you. And thank you for your help on this. I think of the vitamins as part of your nutrition plan. Just think of a vitamin as part of your nutrition. And there's nothing that replaces the food you eat. But you're right about the soil depletion. You just can't get enough through what you eat. I think it's virtually impossible. So think of, especially a multivitamin, as being part of your nutrition plan because it's just got to be. I can't imagine what that study at Harvard would have shown if they'd used like my multivitamins. I guarantee you they use a Centrum or something like that, which if you compare the ingredients, there's nowhere close. So I'm really excited about this. I used to think years ago, I've been practicing medicine for 37, 38 years now, and I used to have patients that came in and took all these vitamins, 20, 30 years ago, and I thought they were nutty. I called them vitamaholics, and I would actually tell them, hey, you're just peeing, you're just creating expensive urine. I couldn't have been more wrong. I see these same people now, and they're in their 90s, and they just look and feel great. They haven't come down with a lot of the illnesses and they even don't get colds and things like that. I know it's great for your immune system to take these, but it's just been an incredible journey for me to learn about vitamins. So now when I go to a pharmacy, I actually start looking on the shelves exactly what they have in it. And, I know mine are so much better. And I would create these just for myself to take, much less, put them out there for everybody. I don't want to be a vitamin salesman, but I know there's better out there. And why not go to these links to try to create something that will really help people along with their other stuff, like what they eat, how they exercise, how they sleep, what their hormones look like, what all their blood markers look like. So I think it's important, and I want to thank you for helping me with that. It was so great. It was just great to meet you that time, and we still see each other at meetings and we talk on the phone. There's going to be more to come. I mean, I'm always thinking about the next thing, and I'll keep you guessing about that, but a lot of it will have to be probably, pain, people that hurt all the time. These baby boomers like me, 69 years old, I mean, we tend to get a little stiffer, hurt a little bit more in our joints. It's kind of goes with it. But there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of quell that inflammatory response in your body down. But anyway, Michael Loomis, it's been great. You got any other words of wisdom before we leave here today? I know you have other meetings and all.
No, I mean, it's been a pleasure to be on with you here today. I think, one other reason why your stuff works is, as you mentioned, a lot of times in order to get these clinical effects, you're recommending 3, 4, 5, 6 different bottles, right? And so, what you did a great job of is how can I take those 3, 4, 5, 6 bottles, consolidate into one? That's a win in terms of compliance. That's a huge issue, right? You're able to express your own clinical expertise, but you're also able to drive better cost because you're taking multiple bottles and the cost of those bottles and able to put into one. So, that's a huge reason as to why, there's many reasons why your formulas work, but that's a huge one. But, you're humble. So, you might not like me saying this, but, when I met, I first connected with Katie, and then I get to connect with you, your son, Ben, Katie's sister, Carter. And, it's no surprise as to why you guys have the success that you do. And I could just tell right away, just the character, the humility, the desire to learn. Like, you're always posting on LinkedIn, I'm following it. I've taken some of your recommendations from afar and started taking certain things, and it's helped my health. Right. And so, it's really cool to be able to be on the back end to help you better serve patients, but just to see the growth that you're having, new clinics, the podcast doing well, the supplements. So, it's cool to see good people do well. And I think it's a testament as to why you're successful, of the team that you built, the humility, the character. And so it's fun just being a small part of that. And I appreciate you having me on, to share what we're doing and how we've been able to help you in that process.
Well, thank you for those kind words. And I will say a kind word about you. When I met you, I knew you're a man of faith and of character. And that's one reason I love talking with you and working on this. So you have a purpose. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate you doing this. We'll be on again, and we'll come up with all kinds of cool stuff in the future. The future's bright, So Michael Loomis, thank you so much. This is Dr. Tom Rogers at Performance Medicine. We'll see you next week.